Hello folks, welcome to Boardgame Corner. I'm Mark.
I'm Suzanne.
I'm so excited to have Suzanne with us today, a guest reviewer, one of our first guest reviewers, and today we're taking a look at Hero Realms.
Hero Realms is from White Wizard Games. It plays 2 to 4 players in about 20 to 30 minutes, and it's really for players 12 and up.
Great. Well, let's grab our weapons and battle it out. So, Hero Realms is based on the Star Realms game engine, but the new cards create an exciting new gaming experience that provides fresh gameplay even for the veteran Star Realms player. Hero Realms combines the fun of a deck building game with the addition of card dueling and epic combat. The base game includes some basic starting cards, things like gold and weapons. But for this review, we are focusing on the character decks. You can play as a cleric, a fighter, a ranger, and a thief, and even a wizard. I'm excited. All these character packs add a cool new dimension to the player versus player game. Each matchup is a unique challenge which will require different strategies, which means all these characters have very different starting decks, and each class has a very unique set of ability cards. Let's take a closer look at the anatomy of a card. Champions, items, and action cards share some standard things. Upper right, you will see the cost of the card. In the middle is the name and the subtype. On the left, we have the faction type. Now, there are 4 types of factions: the Guild faction, the Necro faction, Imperial, and the Wild faction, each represented by a unique symbol or sigil. Other symbols to take note of are things like combat, health, and gold. Then, at the bottom, you have your primary ability and ally ability. And some cards can also have a sacrifice ability. Ally abilities will activate when you have 2 or more of the same faction type in play. So, for example, let's look at Arcus, the Imperial Dragon. He is part of the Imperial faction. Taxation is also in the same faction. So both these cards, their ally abilities will trigger when played together, giving 12 points of healing, which is huge, considering that damage points swings can be very large in this game. Making sure you have a good balance of healing and damage is one of the keys to success. This is just one of the many ally abilities, and trust me, there are tons. Sacrifice is simply that. If you choose to remove this card from the game, then you activate its sacrifice ability. So, Nature's Bounty, for example, is part of the Wild faction, but it has a sacrifice ability. If you discard it from the game, you can immediately do 4 points of damage to your opponent. A big benefit to sacrificing cards is that it helps you thin your deck, so you can more quickly cycle through your more powerful cards. If you take a closer look at the champion cards, they also include a shield icon and an arrow or expend icon. The shields come in 2 flavors, black and silver. The black shields will have the words above it that say guard. With this card in play, any would-be attacker would have to deal with this champion before applying any damage to you or your other champions. The expend icon is a reminder that you can only use this card once per turn. Once used, it is turned sideways, but at the end of your turn, everything refreshes to the ready. So here's the game setup. Fire gems on the left. These are generic cards that will be available throughout the game outside the main marketplace. Now in the middle, we have the marketplace, and it shows 5 available cards for purchase. And then the market deck. Next to that is where you will end up putting your sacrifice cards. You also set up your character and starting cards in front of you, along with your health tracker. Each player starts with a 10-card personal deck containing gold and weapons. Each turn, you get a new hand of 5 cards from your personal deck. When your deck runs out of cards, you shuffle your discard pile into your new deck. These are the basic actions of a deck builder, and along the way, your deck will grow based on your cards you purchase from the marketplace. So as you play, you will use gold to buy champions, items, and action cards from the market. These cards can generate large amounts of gold, combat, and other powerful effects. You use combat to attack your opponent and their champions. When you reduce your opponent's health to 0, you win. So gameplay is very straightforward. draw a card, attack, maybe buy some stuff, play cards basically in front of you, and try to be the last man standing at the end. Even though this may seem like a 2-player game, there are rules for multiplayer. Up to 4 can play. All you really need is the starter box to play. But we highly recommend you pick up these character packs. They add so much to the gameplay. All this is very similar to Star Realms, but they've taken Hero Realms in a new direction. We here at Boardgame Corner are really looking forward to seeing this new system and how it expands and where they take it in the future. All right, what do we think of this game? I absolutely love this game. You know what? I actually got rid of Star Realms.
What?
Yes, and
Okay, that's like sacrilege.
I know. And what's so funny is that you're the one who got me into Star Realms.
Guilty.
But this game for me is so much better. The characters and how all the starting decks can be different really sucks me into the game. And the different way the decks come together and the different powers and how much you can really do a lot of damage in one hit.
Yeah, and I think that can't be understated, is that the mechanisms of the game are basically Star Realms. So if you've played Star Realms, you know how to play Hero Realms out of the box. But it's pretty clear to me that they rebalanced the way that the game is laid out mathematically.
Absolutely.
So when you swing for a hit, you're swinging for bigger hits, but they all balance out.
They do.
It just feels better to hit for 10 points.
And there's a lot of healing in the game, so there's a lot of back and forth. And even, I don't know about you, but I've played all the player counts.
I haven't.
You haven't yet, okay, but I've enjoyed it at 2, 3, and 4. Even though it says it's recommended for 2, it's been a blast. And you get these alliances that you create and you gang up on people. It really happens.
Oh,
it's
noted.
really
Okay,
fun.
I know who not to play with now.
It's really fun. So I've introduced it to my family and my girls, and they absolutely love it. And they got it for their friends, and they can't stop playing as well. So this game was going to get high marks for me, and the artwork is beautiful, right?
The artwork is gorgeous.
Just
If you're a fan of fantasy-themed artwork, it's got all the tropes in there, but the artwork is very, very rich.
Dead on, beautiful. I just really like games that have that attention to detail. There's so many that don't have, intricate artwork that sucks you into the game as well.
Well, I think that, fantasy is such a common kind of setting in board games that to have art that doesn't feel generic is pretty great. And I think that Hero Realms really accomplishes that. And for me, the standout feature, beyond kind of that rebalanced deck that's really fun to play with, the individual character packs makes all the difference. And, each of the characters feels unique and different. You have that one-time use ability, and then you have that kind of ongoing once-per-turn ability. And they're different, and they're fun, and they're thematic to your character type.
Even though you might find one that you like a lot, you still want to try them all because they're all so different. And that's very different than, like, if you just get the base game, you don't get the characters. But I can't even tell you enough how much you should not just get the base deck. You really, really should at least get a couple characters if you can't get them all, because it adds so much replayability to the game. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Although, again, I think that they did enough to the game itself that it stands on its own. So, if you haven't played Star Realms before, you can start with just the base box. But the characters add so much more. And it's really inexpensive. That's the thing. I was asking you about this because I couldn't remember the retail price.
Yeah, it's like
under $20.
Yeah.
There's so much game in there.
It's amazing.
And I haven't thrown away Star Realms yet.
I didn't throw it away. I gave it to somebody.
Well, okay, fair enough. But this one
needed
is,
a deck builder.
I know where you're coming from. It feels...
I don't even want to play Star Realms anymore, except maybe the app. That's the exception. I'd play the app. But this game, I wouldn't even pull Star Realms off the shelf, the card game, anymore. What do you think?
I recently did a top 10 deck builders list, and Star Realms is literally my number 1 deck builder. So that's a little tougher for me to cross over that line.
Yeah.
But I will say that the numbers that you get to play with here are much more rewarding than Star Realms, and the character packs make a huge difference. And I actually prefer the sci-fi theme.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely.
But you can't do the characters the way you can, because there's the fighter, the ranger, the cleric. You just don't have that same analogy in sci-fi. So I think it really only works here.
It only works here. You're right.
So it could edge out.
Yeah.
It could edge out.
And the really cool thing is some of the new stuff that's coming for it. Have you seen the other boss decks they're going to have, like the Dragon and the Lich King? They're going to be boss level character decks.
Right, and this is this coincides with like the cooperative
which
and the campaign
play. Is going to be amazing because it just expands the game that much more.
Yeah, and I can't play a lot of campaign games. I don't have a lot of time to kind of dedicate to that. What's great about Hero Realms is the games are quick.
Yep.
So the idea of pumping out a campaign game, a scenario, in under an hour,
would be
that's not
phenomenal.
common in games that have that kind of ongoing play. So Hero Realms providing that in the future is going to be amazing.
And that's just going to really push it over the edge for me.
It could for me too. Yeah, absolutely.
And this game almost gets a perfect score for me. I'm going to give it a solid 3.5 out of 4 corners.
Well, I also gave it a 3.5 out of 4
Nice.
corners. It really is a spectacular deck building game. It's got all the components from art, gameplay, interaction, unique abilities. It's rewarding to play. It's fast to play. It's everything I want in a deck builder.
Definitely, I can't agree more. So if you haven't tried it, you must go check it out. Especially if you're a Star Realms fan, this is just a no-brainer. You have to try this. It's so much fun.
Totally agree. And to people who love Star Realms, I really would say you should give this one a try. It is different enough. I know if you own all of Star Realms is a great standalone game. Obviously, I adore that game. But Hero Realms really does bring something different to the table for it.
Exactly. Well, I think that's it. You have anything else? Oh, you know what I was going to ask? You have a favorite character?
Do I have a favorite? I like the Sneaky Thief.
Man, those blades, right? The throwing knives are super powerful.
And the ability to steal a card out of your opponent's discard.
That's pretty awesome. I have to say, I'm kind of partial to the mage and maybe the fighter a little bit.
I like the fighter too.
He's pretty good, right? He starts with high health. Oh, that's the other thing. All the different character classes start at different levels of health. So, and this game, I feel like, has a lot more healing ability in it.
I totally agree with that.
So you can really go up and down that scale, and you shouldn't feel like you're out of the game at any point because the more healing you get back in, you can just jump back up that scale really quick before you're eliminated.
Well, I was surprised because in all of our games, I took like a 16-point hit. I'm like, oh, there's my game. I'm out of it. But then a round later, all of a sudden we were 1 point delta between me and my opponent. And they have balanced this game
really well
to an inch. It's really brilliantly done.
It is one of it is probably
You're
my
speechless.
I know, it might be my favorite deck builder ever.
I believe it.
Yeah, totally.
I believe it.
So, all right, folks. Well, thanks for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.